Have you ever felt a state that doesn't come from yourself? Have you ever noticed that your emotional state can shift the moment that you enter a certain environment? You walk into a room and feel tense without knowing why. Or you sit among the people and feel unusual calm, even though nothing was said. These experiences are often described as intuition or emotional sensitivity. But there is another way to understand them. What if they are not the subjective impressions, but the biological responses to shared conditions, living systems and never closed systems? In the previous videos, we explore how water supports communication inside the human body. We looked at neural rhythms, structured water, and the light-based coordination. But biology does not stop the boundaries of the skin. Living systems are open systems. They exchange heat, electromagnetic activity, chemical traces, and rhythmic signals with their surroundings. So, the question naturally expands. If the water enables coordination within the body, what happens when many bodies share the same environment? Independent individuals in an incomplete model. From a biological perspective, the idea of the fully isolated individual does not hold. The heart generates unmeasurable electromagnetic fields. The brain produces a rhythmic electrical activity. The nervous system constantly adjusts to external signals. These signals do not disappear at the surface of the skin. They interact with the surrounding environment. At that environment, in most natural setting is a larger aqueous, moisture in the air, water in soil and vegetation, hydrated surfaces in living spaces. Water creates continuity between organisms and their surroundings. Synchronization is not a metaphor, but a fundamental behavior of life. In biology, synchronization is common. Fireflies synchronize flashing. Heart cells synchronize contraction. Neurons synchronize firing patterns. This process is known as entrainment. When rhythmic systems share a medium, they tend to align. Human nerve systems are rhythmic systems. When people occupy the same space, their rhythms do not remain completely independent. This is not a philosophy. It is a well-documented biological principle. Physiology explanation of emotional contagion. Emotional contagion is often explained psychologically, but physiology offers a clearer picture. When multiple nervous systems share the same environment, their regulatory state influences one the other. Breathing patterns adjust, muscle tone subtly shift, heart rhythm respond. This does not require intention. It does not require awareness. It is not empathy in a moral sense. It is coupling between biological systems. Water supports this coupling by stabilizing the physical environment in which these systems interact. How is group consistency observed? Research from the HeartMath Institute has explored how group states affect both individuals and environments. In group coherence studies, synchronized emotional regulation correlate with measurable changes in physiological signals and the environmental noise pattern. These studies do not claim that thought controls reality. They show something more specific. When biological system becomes more regulated, the environment they inhabit becomes more stable. The turning point at the phenomenological level, water's response to the collective state. Up to this point, we have been discussing mechanism, rhythm, and models. But there is another kind of evidence that cannot be ignored. evidence that comes from repeated observation. Across different cultures and locations, people have reported that connective emotional states appear to influence water itself. This is not a conclusion, it is a pattern. Dr. Masaru Emoto's research and my personal involvement. One of the most well-known figures associated with these observations was Masaru Emoto. His work documented water crystal formation after exposure to different collective conditions, such as word, music, picture, and emotional environment. His experiments do not follow conventional double-blind protocols, and they remain debated within the scientific community. So it's important to be precise. What gives this work significance is not that it proved a theory, but that it revealed consistent, observable differences. I want to be clear here. What I'm about to share is not second-hand information. I personally met Dr. Emoto several times and participated in multiple workshops organized by his scientific team. In 2017, in Taiwan, I joined the water consciousness workshop led by his son Hiro Masaru. Together with the head scientist of the Water Crystal Research Laboratory, Nemoto Yasuyuki, and members of Dr. Emoto Global Peace Project. At Salmon Lake, water samples was collected from the exact same location before and after a large-scale collective prayer ceremony. Over 100 participants stood together along the shoreline. After ceremony, water samples were taken again from the same site. Both samples were later frozen under identical conditions in Japan, at minus 27 degrees Celsius, to observe crystal formation. The results were clearly different. The samples taken after the ceremony shows a high degree of hexagonal order and symmetry. I witnessed this processing directly. This was not belief, it was observation. Polak approach a bridge to mainstream science. After Dr. Emoto's passing, these conversations did not end. In 2018, in Seattle, I visited laboratory of General Pollard at University of Washington, together with Dr. Emoto's family and the members of his scientific team. Pollard is one of the most respected researchers studying water in mainstream biophysics. He was also one of the first to publicly acknowledge that crystal patterns observed in Dr. Emoto's work pointed toward real structural differences in water, not as proof that intention directly shapes matter, but as evidence that water responds to environmental conditions we do not yet fully understand. This distinction matters. Science does not move forward by dismissing observation, but by refining how we interpret it. We are shaping the environment together at the collective level. Water appears to function as a sensitivity environmental medium, not carrying messages, but responding to conditions. When many biological systems share the same space, their rhythms, fields, and their regulatory states contribute to those conditions. This does not complete the explanation, but it changes the question. Collective reality is not created by belief alone. It emerges from shared conditions. And those conditions are continuously shaped by how living systems regulate themselves in relation to one another. Enter next episode, From Collective to Civilization. This completes the episode of our exploration. In the next episode, we will examine what happens when these principles scale even further, from groups to societies to planetary systems, and how a new understanding of coherence and the environment may reshape the way we design our future civilization. Thank you for staying here with me in this journey, and I will see you in next episode.